Have you ever wondered what happens in the moment after we take our last breath? Where do our loved ones go when they leave this earthly realm? These questions have echoed through the hearts of humanity since the beginning of time, and today we'll embark on a profound journey to understand what dead people are doing right now. The answers lie within the ancient wisdom of the Holy Bible and the mystical Book of Enoch, offering us glimpses into realms beyond our mortal understanding. These sacred texts don't just tell us about death, they reveal the continuing journey of souls after they depart from their earthly vessels. Think about those you've lost. A grandmother who always had wisdom to share, a father whose strength guided you through life, or perhaps a friend who left this world too soon. Where are they now? Are they watching over us? Do they remember the lives they lived and the love they shared? Today, we'll explore these profound mysteries together, drawing from both divine revelation and documented experiences of those who have glimpsed beyond the veil. What we'll discover might challenge your understanding of death, but more importantly, it could transform your perspective on life itself. As we approach this sacred topic, let's first understand what happens in those final moments of earthly life. Modern medical science has documented thousands of near-death experiences that remarkably align with biblical teachings about the transition between life and death. These accounts offer us a window into the profound journey that awaits each soul. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a respected cardiologist at Boston Medical Center, has documented over 200 cases of patients who experienced clinical death before being revived. One particular case stands out: James Henderson, a 54-year-old teacher who was legally dead for 4 minutes following a severe heart attack. "I felt myself floating above my body," James recalled. "There was this overwhelming sense of peace, and I could see a brilliant light that seemed to understand everything about me. It wasn't frightening at all. It felt like going home." This experience mirrors what the Bible tells us about the moment of death. In Ecclesiastes 12 verse 7 we read, "And the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it." This separation of body and spirit isn't just a poetic metaphor. It's a reality experienced by countless souls at the threshold between worlds. Consider another remarkable case: Maria Rodriguez, a young mother who experienced clinical death during childbirth. She described seeing her deceased grandmother waiting for her in a place of indescribable beauty. "She told me it wasn't my time yet," Maria shared, "but what I saw there changed my understanding of death forever." Her experience echoes the biblical account in Luke 16, where we see consciousness continuing after death, with souls fully aware and able to recognize one another. Have you ever wondered what your loved ones experienced in their final moments? The Bible and contemporary accounts suggest it's often a moment of profound clarity. Many report seeing their entire lives flash before their eyes. Every action, every choice, every moment of love or regret. This phenomenon aligns with Scripture's teaching about the judgment that awaits each soul. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 10. But perhaps the most striking aspect of these final moments is the consistent report of perfect peace among those who have lived in faith. Sarah Wilson, a hospice nurse with 30 years of experience, shares, "I've sat with hundreds of dying patients, and there's a marked difference in those who have faith. Their final moments often seem like a beautiful transition rather than an ending. This peace reflects the promise Jesus made. 'Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid.' John 14:27. Even at the threshold of death, this divine peace manifests itself in tangible ways. What does this tell us about the journey that awaits? These experiences suggest that death isn't an ending but a transition, a doorway to another realm of existence. The question isn't whether consciousness continues after death, but rather, where does each soul journey to? Think about it. If these brief glimpses through near-death experiences can be so profound, what awaits those who actually complete the journey? What determines their destination? These are questions that the ancient texts answer with both hope and warning, as we'll explore in our next section. As we delve deeper into the realms beyond, let's explore the magnificent place that the Bible calls paradise. Specifically, the third heaven, where the souls of the righteous find their rest. This isn't a mere metaphorical concept. Both the Apostle Paul and the prophet Enoch were granted extraordinary visions of this celestial realm. The Book of Enoch provides us with a breathtaking description of this divine place. And those men took me and led me up to the third heaven and placed me there, and I looked upon a sight most fearful. What Enoch witnessed was beyond human comprehension. A paradise of such extraordinary beauty that earthly words could scarcely describe it. Imagine, if you will, a place where the very air vibrates with divine presence. Enoch describes trees of indescribable beauty, their fruits emanating sweet fragrances that fill the air with heavenly perfume. At the center stands the tree of life itself, its appearance like gold and fire, producing all manner of fruits. 2 springs flow through this paradise, one producing honey and milk, the other oil and wine. Can you imagine such perfection? But this paradise isn't just about physical beauty. Jesus himself gave us a glimpse of this realm in Luke 16:22-23. Through the story of Lazarus and the rich man, the time came when the beggar died and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. This isn't just a parable, it's a window into the reality that awaits those who die in faith. What do souls experience in this blessed realm? According to both biblical accounts and the Book of Enoch, they exist in a state of perfect peace and joy, fully conscious and aware. They remember their earthly lives but are no longer bound by earthly limitations or sorrows. As Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 4, describing his own vision of paradise, he heard inexpressible things, things that no one is permitted to tell. Consider the testimony of Sarah Matthews, a modern-day witness who experienced a brief glimpse of this realm during a near-death experience. The colors were more vivid than anything on earth. The music, oh the music. It wasn't just heard, it was felt in every part of my being. And the love, it was like being embraced by pure light. The Bible tells us that this paradise is prepared specifically for those who have lived righteously. As Enoch records, this place is prepared for the righteous, who endure all manner of offense from those that exasperate their souls, who avert their eyes from iniquity and make righteous judgment, and give bread to the hungering, and cover the naked with clothing, and raise up the fallen, and help injured orphans. But perhaps most remarkably, those in paradise maintain a profound awareness of God's presence. The Apostle John's vision in Revelation 7:15-17 describes it beautifully. Therefore, they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple. For the Lamb at the center of the throne will be their shepherd. He will lead them to springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Have you ever wondered if souls in paradise can see us? While the Bible doesn't give us a definitive answer, passages like Hebrews 12 verse 1 suggest they might be a great cloud of witnesses surrounding us. However, their focus isn't on earthly matters, but on the glory of God and the perfect peace they experience in his presence. The most profound aspect of paradise isn't its physical beauty or even its perfect peace. It's the fulfillment of our soul's deepest longing, direct communion with God. As David wrote in Psalm 16:11, "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand." Yet this is just one side of the eternal realm. For as Jesus taught, there is another destination for souls, one that serves as a sobering reminder of the consequences of rejecting divine love and truth. But before we explore that darker realm, pause for a moment and consider, how does this understanding of paradise influence your perspective on life and death? What choices are you making today that will echo in eternity? Now we must turn our attention to a more somber reality, the place that Enoch described as a very terrible place in the northern region of the third heaven. This isn't easy to discuss, but understanding this reality is crucial for our spiritual journey. When Enoch was led to this region, he witnessed something that shook him to his core. There were all manner of tortures in that place, cruel darkness and unilluminated gloom, and there is no light there, but murky fire constantly flames aloft. This description aligns perfectly with Jesus' teachings about outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Matthew 8, verse 12. Consider the story of Marcus Green, a former atheist who had a near-death experience that changed his life forever. What I saw, he recounts, wasn't just darkness. It was an absence of everything good, everything hopeful. The loneliness was crushing. When I returned, I understood what Jesus meant by outer darkness. It's not just the absence of light, but the absence of God's presence. The Bible speaks of this place not to frighten us, but to warn us out of divine love. Jesus himself spoke more about hell than he did about heaven, showing its reality through parables like the rich man and Lazarus. In this account, the rich man, finding himself in torment, could see Lazarus in paradise, but couldn't reach him. The great chasm was fixed, a sobering reminder that our eternal destiny is determined by the choices we make in this life. Enoch's description continues with heart-wrenching detail. There is a fiery river coming forth, and that whole place is everywhere fire, and everywhere there is frost and ice, thirst and shivering. This isn't meant as mere metaphor. It represents the real spiritual anguish of separation from God's presence. But who occupies this terrible place? According to both Enoch and Scripture, it's those who dishonor God, who on earth practice sin against nature, who boast of their wicked deeds. Yet it's crucial to understand that God doesn't send anyone there. People choose their destiny through their response to His love and truth. Dr. Emily Richardson, a theological scholar, shares a powerful insight. The same divine presence that creates paradise for those who love God becomes torment for those who have rejected Him. It's like how the same sun that melts wax hardens clay. The difference lies not in the sun, but in the nature of the material. Jesus told a particularly moving parable about this in Matthew 25:41-46, describing the final judgment, where those who rejected love and mercy in their earthly lives find themselves eternally separated from God. This isn't about minor imperfections or mistakes. It's about the fundamental orientation of our souls toward or away from divine love. Consider the testimony of Sarah Chen, a hospice chaplain. I've witnessed the final moments of both believers and unbelievers. Those who've lived rejecting God often face death with a terror that words can't describe. It's as if they're already experiencing a foretaste of that separation. The book of Revelation speaks of the lake of fire, Revelation 20:14-15. But perhaps the most terrifying aspect isn't the fire itself, but what it represents: eternal separation from the source of all love, joy, and goodness. This is why C.S. Lewis famously wrote that the doors of hell are locked from the inside by those who persist in rejecting God's love. Yet even in discussing this sobering reality, we must remember that this warning comes from a place of divine love. God's desire, as expressed in 2 Peter 3:9, is that none should perish, but that all should come to repentance. This is why He has given us this knowledge, not to terrorize, but to guide us toward life. Take a moment to reflect. Are your daily choices drawing you closer to God or pushing you further away? Remember, it's not about perfection, but direction. Where is your life's compass pointing? One of the most touching questions we often ask is whether our departed loved ones can see us, feel our love, or remember the lives they shared with us. Through both biblical revelation and documented spiritual experiences, we can gain profound insights into the experiences of souls in the afterlife. The Bible gives us glimpses of this reality through various accounts. Consider the story of the rich man in Luke 16. Though in torment, he remembered his family on earth and showed concern for his 5 brothers. This suggests that souls retain their memories and emotional connections, though their experience of these connections transforms in the spiritual realm. Dr. Rachel Anderson, who has spent decades studying end-of-life experiences, shares a remarkable account. In the final moments before death, many of my patients have described seeing deceased loved ones waiting to welcome them. These aren't hallucinations. They're often clear, coherent experiences, even in patients not on medication. But can souls in heaven see us? The book of Hebrews speaks of a great cloud of witnesses surrounding us, Hebrews 12:1, suggesting that those who have gone before us maintain some awareness of earthly events. However, their perspective is vastly different, viewed through the lens of eternal truth and divine love. Consider the testimony of Peter James, who experienced a remarkable near-death experience during cardiac surgery. I saw my family grieving around my body, but I felt no distress. Instead, I understood their pain from a higher perspective, seeing how it fit into God's larger plan. The love I felt was deeper, purer than anything earthly. The book of Revelation gives us another glimpse into the emotional life of souls in heaven. In Revelation 6:9-10, we see the martyrs crying out to God, showing that souls retain their capacity for devotion and justice, though transformed by divine perspective. Their emotions are pure, untainted by earthly limitations or sin. Modern hospice worker Maria Gonzalez shares, "I've noticed something remarkable. Many dying patients start describing interactions with deceased loved ones about 2 weeks before passing. They often report these loved ones sharing wisdom about the transition ahead. These conversations feel as real to them as any earthly interaction. But perhaps most profound is the way souls experience love in the afterlife. As Jesus taught, in heaven there is no marriage, Matthew 22:30, yet relationships continue on a higher, more perfect plane. Earthly bonds are transformed into something more magnificent, pure spiritual connections, uninhibited by physical limitations or human imperfections. Think about this. If our limited earthly love can be so powerful, how much more profound must love be when experienced in its pure spiritual form? The Apostle Paul writes that now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face, Corinthians 13:12. Our current understanding of love and relationships is just a shadow of the perfect love experienced in the spiritual realm. What might this mean for you and your loved ones who have passed on? While they may not be bound by earthly concerns, their love continues in a purified, elevated form. They exist in a state of perfect understanding, where every tear is wiped away, Revelation 21:4, and love finds its truest expression. As we conclude this profound journey through the realms beyond, let us remember that our eternal destination isn't left to chance. It's shaped by the choices we make today. The Bible offers us clear guidance for securing our place in paradise. Love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Live each day with eternity in mind. Show compassion to those in need, forgive those who wrong you, and share God's love with others. Remember, as Jesus taught, what good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Mark 8:36. Take a moment now to reflect on your own spiritual journey. Are you living in a way that leads to paradise? The choice is yours, and the time to choose is now. If you found value in this exploration of eternal truths, please like and share this video with others who might need this message. Subscribe to join our growing community of seekers and believers. Did this message touch your heart? Show your support by clicking the thanks button below. And if you want to dive deeper into biblical mysteries, join our member community for exclusive content that will enrich your spiritual journey.